Welcome, Ken, to Metaladium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about Ancients, this new album, Beyond the Reach of the Sun, and more things relating to the more metal world in general. So we are start by asking, so how are you? How is the Ancient doing during? How was the Ancient doing during the last couple of years? Because I.
We've been doing good. We kind of had a little bit of a hiatus since 2016. A long hiatus. But yeah, we're happy to be back with a new record, and we're stoked to share it with everyone on August 30th.
Okay, nice. And well, the next question is we'll go to the yes. The question is a common one, I think. So why the band delayed 8 years to release this third album, Beyond the Reach of the Sun? Because as you mentioned in your second one, Voice of the Void was released in 2016. So 8 year passed to release this new album. What kind of what is the situation? What happened?
Um, well, basically, there were some health issues within my family. So,
Mm.
right before Voice of the Void was recorded, my wife gave birth to our son, and she had heart complications due to the pregnancy. So it put her kind of in intensive care for like a month, and she came close to passing away. So basically, all things aside from family for the next kind of 4 years were pretty much, on the back burner. So that kind of took a big chunk away from us as far as, moving forward with writing new music. And then kind of once all that was dealt with, then COVID happened. Um, and we replaced a couple members. So it was a big kind of snowball of unfortunate events that kind of led to the lengthy hiatus.
Mm, okay, I understand. So, in this situation about talking about this album, and so, yeah, when you happen with all these things happen to you, so when do you start writing songs for this new album? Are all songs new, or do you rescue any composition that were left or the previous albums?
Well, like we had been kind of, getting together, um, you know, every now and then, but it was nothing like, an active band. So we had quite a bit of material sort of stored and, saved that we had been working on, but it took so long for us to kind of get together often during those times. So basically, like there might be a couple pieces from the new record that were written previously, but for the majority of the whole record, we started kind of fresh in 2022, writing for the new stuff. So most of it's pretty much brand new, but there's a few sections that have kind of been poached from older things, but for the most part, we just kind of wanted to start with a clean slate. Things tend to kind of get stale when you work on them for too long, right? So
Oh yeah,
we
yeah,
just
yeah.
figured, yeah, going in
Yes.
with fresh ears was.
Oh, okay. So Ancients has always had a varied sounds with extreme metal, progressive metal, and more things into your music since the first album. So, what sounds can we expect on this new one? Are there new sonic elements? Has your way of composition and recording songs changed much over time? Because 8 year passed.
Yeah, I would like to think so. Like, we still kind of have the sound that we have always had, underlying to the record, but there's definitely some new elements to the sound that we brought this time. Like for one instance, we've introduced some synths and keys for the first time on probably half of the record. Um, and we had our friend Justin come up, and record those parts. So when I had the demos and stuff ready, some of the songs just sounded like they were sort of missing a sonic element. So I sent the demos off to Justin, and he sent back some rough ideas of what he would put over top of it, and it sounded incredible. So that's one thing listeners can expect is you know, definitely more sonic ambience in some of the songs, and a lot more kind of, you know, 90s elements, I guess, to it that we haven't necessarily had in our songs before, like, you know, kind of Alice in Chainsy, Soundgarden-y vibes. But all the old stuff is still there as well. You know, we've obviously after 8 years, it's probably not going to sound exactly like Voice of the Void. Nor do I think it should. So you can kind of hear the sound evolving in certain ways. And plus, we have a couple new members, so that can always, you know, affect what the overall sound of the band will be like for the end product.
Mm, okay, okay, nice to hear. Many bands and musicians see each album as a child. Each one one special is in own way. It's a bit of cliche to say that each new release is the band best. So, but do you consider this new album is your best work to date? If so, what are the reasons that make this your best album to date?
Um, like yeah, it is cliche to say that this is the best thing we've ever done. I just kind of, you know, look at it as the next piece in the chapter of what we're doing. Like, you know, I enjoy all of our music for different reasons. This one more for me is on a, you know, the lyrical side of thing because it was the first album that I sort of handled all the lyrical duties. So it was sort of a big challenge for me to kind of get that side of it done, from beginning to end. Because our old guitar player Chris, he used to write a lot of the lyrics. Not to say that I hadn't done it before, but it was the first time I kind of solely had to undertake the procedure. So it some of the lyrics mean a lot more to me personally than they have in the past. So as far as that's concerned, I would say it kind of means the most to me of our record so far. Um, and as far as the music goes, like I think we just have a really good unit of guys right now, and we're all positive people and happy to be doing what we're doing and be back. So I think that kind of translates into the sonic element of the record.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Now talking about one thing that you mentioned about the lyrical themes. Well, see, as you mentioned that obviously the previous vocal was in charge of the create the lyrics for the first two albums, and now you're in charge completely to create the albums for this new one. And one thing that's certainly about this one, the beyond the reach of the sun has a different presentation since you see the cover art, because the first two albums you create by Alison Lilly the first two cover arts, and now the in charge of the person create this album it was Adam Burke, a great no artist for a lot of covers. So what did you decide to create at this moment? Well, the lyrics first, and then the change the created the artist into the cover art.
Well, we just think like we wanted to try something different this time. Like Allison is a great friend of ours, from our local area, and we are super happy to have her do the first two records. But we kind of spoke with the label and thought it might be a good idea just to try and change the aesthetic to some degree. And I'd been kind of searching for artists for, you know, a couple years, just looking through stuff, and we found Adam Burke, and yeah, he's notorious for amazing album covers and artwork, and I just thought his art style sort of matched the lyrical content of, you know, a crazy sort of sci-fi story, um, that the lyrics are written about. His artwork kind of matched it perfectly. So when I presented it to the guys, they were sort of all on board with having him do something for us, and he absolutely knocked it out of the park. And actually, Allison still did some art for the record. She did a drawing for us for the gatefold of the album that nobody has seen too much of yet, but she's still involved to some degree.
Okay, okay. Well, now you are working with Season of Mist more than 10 years because your first album was released through them and now these new albums are releasing again through them. But I understand that sometimes the label requests when you release Voice of the Boys say, when will you release a new album? Because we're expecting a new one. That's normal question for a great label like Season of Mist. So how was your work? How was your work since the beginning with Season Mist? Season Mist, and did you enter in contact again with Season Mist to release the new album, or perhaps the label just you stay with the label since the beginning, and without changes?
We've been with them since Artabo, so they fully understood sort of the situation that I was kind of going through. And basically, they've just been amazing people to work with from the very start. So we have no kind of aspirations of changing our relationship with them, and they've been nothing but great to us and understanding given the circumstances. So we're always happy to work with them if they'll have us.
Hmm. Okay, okay, okay. So now talking about especially for the singles for this album, how do you feel the fan reception to the single has been to promote the new album, such as Race of the Sun, Build to Die? So, how do you usually choose the singles for a new album, considering that your sound on this new one is very diverse compared to the other ones? And it would be difficult to have one song that encompasses all music you put on each album?
Yeah, it's picking the singles is always kind of the toughest part for me personally because you put a lot of work into kind of all the songs. So we kind of just leave it up to democracy at that point. Like we discuss it among the guys in the band and also ask for recommendations from from the label and we try and just pick a song that kind of gives the general sound of the full record as close as possible, right? So basically, we just see which kind of songs get the most votes to come out first, right?
Okay, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
You've been around for a lead for more than 10 years since your creation, 2009. Now, well, you have three albums, an EP, singles, and more things. So, what inspires you to create a new music in a bit on a new releases on a digital age where I have hundreds of bands releasing albums every week? And so there is a lot of competition for now. So do you feel to have to compete now with a lot of bands? What advice you give to aspiring musicians?
Well, yeah, like first and foremost, like music for myself personally, it's more of a selfish thing, right? So, first and foremost, I make music as a release to my own emotions and for my own self gratification. So I would just say to younger aspiring bands, just kind of do what you love to do, right? And make music that you know feels good to make for yourself. And usually people will be able to sniff out someone that's writing music for the right reasons, or trying to not just trying to have monetary gain from making art. They just want to basically create something that satisfies their own needs, and that's kind of what I think music should be, right? Aside from all of the business side of things.
Mm. Okay, okay. So now talking about the promotion of this new Beyond the Reach of the Sun. So what kind of plans do you have for this new album? I saw that you will embark in tours. You will some more details. Perhaps you will release more videos, or perhaps you already working and the four albums from Ancients. Who knows?
Yeah, like we plan to get out on the road as much as possible with this album. So we're certainly going to be doing a full North American tour and Europe at some point. next year, I'd imagine. And yeah, we're ready to kind of take whatever opportunities come our way, and you know, providing the response to the album is good, we will you know, venture out as much as we have to.
Mhm. Okay, okay. The thing that I saw from the beginning in Ancient's career is since I remember when the first two albums were released on that in those years, I remember that a lot of media got attention for these albums because are really great ones, the bold ones. So and then with and you, I saw that you grow fast at that moment. A lot of interviews, a lot of cover art, a lot of covers in a lot of magazines. Many people, many, I remember one review say that this Ancients is the very angry version from Mastodon. You are more angry than Mastodon, and a lot of things. That's here. So, but with this hiatus, the band disappear from the whole media because I'm just a fan of the band. I have the first two albums. I just purchased the third one. I just expected to arrive here. So, how do you see now that the fast groupman at that moment that the Ancient has compare that with this hiatus? Because I think the band lost in time, and the people, your fans, lost your career in some way.
Yeah, like you know, we've had a lot of good response actually to the new singles so far. So I think people have kind of been waiting patiently for a long time. And yeah, like I think, or I'm hoping they stick around to kind of hear what's next from us. And it's kind of nice to kind of get our name back out there and let people know that we are still alive and breathing, and things are still cooking in the Ancients camp. Um, yeah, so I guess we'll kind of just see what happens with this new record, and hope people still remember that we're a band.
Okay, okay. So, being a band with varied sounds, how do you see the issue of labels? Fans and the media always try to label bands and start playing with words like symphonic, progressive, experimental, or extreme. You know about this topic. It's usually for the reviewers and fans. So, how do you describe your sound to yourselves?
Well, I've always kind of just thought of us as a hard rock kind of progressive band with extreme metal tendencies, right? So, um, I think we try and cover a lot of ground within our music as opposed to kind of sticking to one thing. So, I think that's kind of where we get the progressive tag from. Like we're not trying to do things that are over the top crazy and just progressive for the sake of being progressive. Um, so yeah, like I would just classify us as, you know, a hard rock progressive metal band.
Okay. And on the other hand of this thing, I imagine you almost also mention sometimes that your sound is reminiscent of certain bands that you may have inspired you, but you have ever told that you sound like a certain band when you really don't?
What's one more time with that? Sorry,
Okay.
we kind of
Have
glitched
you
out.
have you ever have you ever been told that you sound like a certain band, but when you really don't?
Um, well, we kind of get the Mastodon and Opeth comparisons a lot. And you know, I think those bands are amazing and pretty good bands to be getting compared to. But I don't necessarily think we sound exactly like those bands at all times. Like there might be some sections that take inspiration from them, but you know, I like to try and think that we do have our own sound as far as that's concerned. I'm trying to think of a good one. There has been a couple comparisons that were pretty funny. You don't really kind of hear any similarities, but off the top of my head, I can't think right now.
Okay, okay. Well, as I mentioned, your first two albums received a great Great reviews. I love that I read a lot of reviews at that time. I saw that it was a bestseller sometimes for the Hero of Oakum Voice of the Void for a lot of medias. So, do you feel any pressure to surpass what you did in the first two albums with this new one?
Not necessarily. Like obviously on the business side of things, like the label invest money in distribution and the recording of the record and stuff. So obviously we'd like it to do well in that aspect, but I don't necessarily feel the pressure to kind of have to, live up to anyone else's expectations aside from my own, right? Or aside from our band's own expectations of ourselves. So I think you could probably just drive yourself mad thinking that way. Like I think if you think that way, you're kind of making the music for somebody else as opposed to yourself, right? So I think with our own tastes, we can kind of, decide what's good or not to our own ears, and hopefully that's the same through the listeners' ears.
Okay. Switching gears, there is a lot of talk these days about the advancements of artificial intelligence and how fast it has advancement, that it is even used in the art. So for both composing and for the graphic arts, how do you see this from your perspective? And do you think in the future you will use it to compose, design a cover or video, for example?
I don't think so. Like you know, I don't see the reason why I would let a computer write my music for me and then give it. Like it kind of takes away from the whole process, right? Um like music is something that I love to make. And it doesn't make sense at all to me to have a computer make it for me and call it my own, right? So it kind of defeats the whole purpose of creating art in the first place. So for us, I can say that we probably won't be dipping our toes into the AI world anytime soon or ever.
Okay, and one of the last questions, Ken, for this interview, as now
Mhm.
always know that Canada has a lot of great bands. Especially for the progressive, technical, I don't know, experimental. I don't know since the 70s with Rush,
Yeah,
with then Voivod, then Gorgut, etc. We Cryptopsy, etc. etc. So for you, you are been
yeah.
around in Canada since the beginning. Also, well, you hear all the music from Canada, good bands. So for you, which are the five best albums that Canada export to the world for you? In meaning talking about the metal or rock metal.
Oh, that's such a tough one to like I am a huge Rush fan. So my two favorites from them are Hemispheres and I'm a huge fan of 2112 as well. And I would say April Wine, someone who doesn't talk about April Wine a lot. They're one of my favorite Canadian bands ever. Neil Young, Voivod, obviously, and yeah, I have to mention Gorguts because they destroy everyone.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Well, Ken, the sad moments arrive at this interview. I hope you enjoyed this interview. Like me, as I mentioned, I had the first two albums, great ones, by the way. Congratulations for because we never spoke in the past for those albums. Now we speak about just Beyond the Reach of the Sun. Great one. I hear completely. I did my pre-order, so I hope some arrive soon. Sometimes delay 1 or 2 months to arrive here. I don't know why. So that's the time to be in the end of the world. So
yeah.
perhaps you want to add something to your Latin American fans and obviously Metalerium followers.
Just I hope you guys enjoy the new record from us, and talk to your local promoters and get us down there to play.